and let's see if the data in terms of what LikeFolio has been tracking is enough to substantiate what has been an absolutely incredible 2024 PayPal. Megan, I'll toss it over to you here because that's all I got. PayPal has been a huge winner, but hey, it takes a lot of data to substantiate this kind of a performance.
Yeah, absolutely. So whenever we listen for people who are talking about PayPal, we're listening for whether they're downloading PayPal, whether they're using PayPal to complete a purchase, maybe they're using Venmo like you talked about, and this is our purchase intent metric for PayPal. And when we see this, we saw a huge surge during quarantine from April through July. We saw an extremely elevated increase in mentions. I don't think this is any surprise. You can see this on the chart here in that green line, that kind of double peak that went along with as people, as merchants transition to fully e-commerce and then realize that this was probably going to be just a new normal. And you see that extreme elevation, then you start to see things settle in. And things were settling in, a little bit higher year over year, but mostly getting back to normal until recently, whenever PayPal announced this big cryptocurrency feature drop. I think that this was really significant. And I think that this really showcases where our data is powerful, because those mentions that you see, that spike that we're recording, this is a lot of pent up demand. And this is a lot of consumers who are really excited to start using this cryptocurrency feature on PayPal. And I think that this is an instance where PayPal is really in tune with their audience. Whenever you look at people who have used cryptocurrency to or invested or own some sort of cryptocurrency, 14% of PayPal users own cryptocurrency versus 8% of just the regular public. So I think that this shows that PayPal users are more inclined to want to take advantage of these new service offerings that PayPal is going to support. And we're definitely seeing an uptick in demand and an uptick in anticipation of the actual launch of these features for these consumers.
Megan, I'm going to keep my question today pretty simple, but in the relationship between PayPal and cryptocurrency, Megan, is it better for PayPal, this relationship, or is it better for cryptocurrency? I don't know. I can't tell. Do you guys have any data on that?
I think it's better for both of them. I think that this is kind of a synergistic relationship where both parties are going to benefit from this. It's interesting that PayPal is even distinguishing itself from Square in this sense, because not only can you actually make purchases of a couple of different cryptocurrencies, where Square is only really supporting Bitcoin, but you're actually going to be able to make purchases with this cryptocurrency. So it kind of crosses two major hurdles. First, getting cryptocurrency in a viable form for a retail purchase, and then now extending this and making it able for consumers to actually apply this to, I think they have 26 million merchants. So I think that this makes it a little bit more real. So I don't see how this isn't a positive for both companies in the long term. It's definitely, this is a long view. This is still something that we're going to have to watch to see how it plays out, to see how this impacts PayPal, to see how this impacts the cryptocurrencies that they're supporting. But right now, at least from our data, we saw a huge demand uptick. This is really indicative of pent up demand for a name like PayPal. And we also saw a huge surge in happiness at the same time. So anytime that happiness increases along the same time as your demand increases, as more people are using your service, that's a really, really good sign for the company.
Yeah, no, and it does seem like a classic win-win scenario. Megan, this is more of a complex question in terms of kind of how you deal with a company like a PayPal or a Venmo, where I could really see, this is just me kind of thinking out loud here. The first time I use this, I'm surprised at how easy it is. I'm quick to jump on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, whatever it might be, and talk about my experience. But once I'm fairly used to using it, I can only really imagine the next time that I would get on there would be if there was an issue with the platform. And so how do you guys at LikeFolio kind of unpack kind of the hidden user? Do you see this as always just kind of new users coming into the space and sort of assuming that those previous purchase intent mentions are still there as well, and it's more of a compiling, almost subscription-based use of this service? Or is this kind of seen as this is how many people are active on this platform at any given time?
There are a couple of different ways that we can tackle that because you're right. There is you're more inclined to talk about downloading or using the service for the first time. And so that's why we're really good at being able to project growth, right? Being able to project these new users and these new people that are on board. We can change the words that we use a little bit to more measure usage. So we can listen to people talking about they used Venmo or they sent a payment versus download. So that kind of gives us some degree of understanding of, okay, this is new user versus this is just somebody habitually, people talking about just using the service. Another interesting metric is we can actually pull in those cancellation mentions. I think that we've talked about cancellation mentions with you with Netflix or with different, subscription services before. And so we can kind of target that to understand, okay, what does this rate of cancellation look like versus this rate of new users? But definitely the chart that you look at for PayPal, for Venmo, that's going to lean more to this first time usage, that first novel download to give a sense of like how much is this company actually growing.
Yeah, and Megan, and that's why I ask it, because when you look at that, if I'm just looking at that chart and you see kind of that drop off after that major spike, if I don't get that background information, I might be inclined to think that PayPal is struggling. Is that the case? Or is this still a really positive story? They just kind of pulled forward a bunch of demand at the beginning of the summer when, all of the transactions were moving to e-commerce and away from cash.
I think that there is still a usage element that's captured in that data to an extent. So there definitely is some softening from the huge surge that we saw at the onset. I don't think that it's necessarily extremely negative. We're still seeing, even with that pullback, it's still elevated year over year. Right. So it's not just this horrible situation for PayPal, but they're definitely, that's indicative of a slowdown in growth. So maybe you're not going to see that new growth that previously they've reported. And so that's something that investors should be aware of. Absolutely. And then whenever you look at this current spike, right now, I don't think you can actually make these crypto purchases on PayPal yet. But it's really indicative of potential future demand. And that's really indicative that consumers want to use this platform for the long view. So I think that short term going into earnings, definitely we're seeing a little bit of softening for PayPal. However, that quarantine surge was huge, and they have reasons to be hopeful and they have reasons to be optimistic about what that usage might look like in the future, just based on consumer reaction to this announcement.